You're listening to
and such a short amount of time to do it in. We were really
a Mamma Mia podcast.
Hi. Oh, just gave me a fright. How are you, my love?
So tired.
Oh, I can't wait. Do you know what? I'm knackered as well. Should we just cancel this and go to sleep?
Oh, a bit late for that. The husband's been kicked out of bed. He's in the front room.
Hi, I'm Mia Friedman, and I have a confession. I'm obsessed with a woman named Caroline Hirons, and I'm not the only one. In fact, there are roughly around 1 million of us and counting. I'll tell you why in a moment.
Oh, how are we? Let me just cool myself down for a second.
What are you looking for, Dar?
Just a bulldog clip so I can get my hair up for 5 seconds so I can cool down.
Oh no, I like your hair. It looks all like cascadey waves.
Oh, it'll be down again just to give me a bit of...
Well, it is signature. From Mamma Mia, you're listening to No Filter, a weekly interview podcast with people who tell their stories very candidly and aren't afraid to be all kinds of vulnerable. Caroline Hirons is 50, a mum of 4, a new grandma of 1, an author from Liverpool, the English one. And she's the most influential woman in beauty in the world right now. A review from Caroline can make or break a product, particularly a skincare product, because she tells it like it is. And she's got millions of fans around the world, including me. Skincare and beauty are really having a moment right now, particularly skincare. 2020 has been the year that we've all focused way too much on our own faces on Zoom screens and, as a result, paid much closer attention to our skincare. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll probably notice that I've tried to become a beauty blogger this year. I'm putting so much stuff on my face and my neck and my hands and my boobs. I have bought a serum pretty much for every feeling that I've had in 2020. And I wanted to ask Caroline why. Why do we care so much about skincare at the moment? Why is it seen as frivolous, not feminist by some? Why do some people think it's a waste of money? Is it a waste of money? And what should we be spending our money on, actually? Here's my conversation with Caroline. I started with a really important question. Why am I obsessed with you?
Only in Australia would someone ask that as their first question. That's why I love Aussies. I have no idea. I am very flattered, thank you, but I have no idea.
Why in 2020 have I decided that treating my anxiety by buying serums and watching you talking about serums and skincare is the only thing keeping me afloat? Why?
Do you know what? Weirdly, you're not the first person to say that.
And I know that. I'm very common, and I know I'm not the only one because I know so many people who say the same thing.
Do you know what? I think it was a perfect viral storm. I think with the pandemic, when we went into lockdown, I basically sat in my bedroom and said, right, well, I'll just make this work and do a couple of Instagram lives just to keep in touch with people. And the Instagram lives turned out to be like the main thing that now people will not let me stop doing. So Monday to Thursday at 5 p.m. UK time, if I'm not on, my phone starts pinging by people going, they're panicking in the group, are you okay? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just watching ER. So I think it was that, and it's a touchstone for someone, like even if you're having a crappy day, if you know that someone that you just like watching and just ranting for a lot of the part, especially during the first lockdown, let's face it, I was as angry as my hair is right now. You know, I think a lot of people tuned in to sort of have that touchstone of, well, at least at 5 o'clock, I can go and join in with my friends online. You know, and that's the same thing like with this morning. I said, well, what are we going to do with total lockdown? And they said, oh, don't worry. Broadcasters will never take main TV programs off air. They'll do whatever they have to do to keep them on air because otherwise people panic.
That's why you've still been on television, yeah. So this morning's like the UK breakfast show.
Yeah, exactly. Like the biggest watched, you know, and that's why things like Strictly Come Dancing are on, X Factor, all that just stays. They just do a lot of it without audiences.
It's not just obsession with you, though. It's obsession with skincare. So I started my career as a beauty editor 100 years ago, like almost 30 years ago. And then skincare was like the middle child of the whole beauty category. It was all about makeup. And there's something that's happened in the last 12 months. You've obviously been across this for a lot longer, but everyone's attention in my world, women's, has turned to skincare. Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, pandemic-wise, it's because people were indoors not wearing makeup and they spent more time looking in the mirror going, oh, while they're plucking their chin, oh, maybe I could do something about this pigmentation. I think the focus was always, there are only so many naked palettes you can own. Like, there are only so many red lipsticks you can own, And I think the joy of makeup brought people to the joy of skincare, because eventually you stop trying 7 different foundations and realize actually what you're trying to cover up needs help first. I think it's just a natural evolution of, and also people like me just shouting louder, like, forget your makeup, fix your skin, and then you won't need as much makeup. And then when you use makeup, it's to enhance, not to hide. And so I think it's much more of a natural evolution of the industry in terms of, we've done makeup for so long. If you think about things like when MAC first launched, when Huda launched, all the big sort of moments in makeup. But it's still like, I still open a palette and go, oh, that's pretty. And then I give it to my daughter.
It seems like too much hard work, doesn't it?
Like, I can't be bothered. For me, when people have always been like, I don't have time to do 5 stages of skincare. And I say, how long does it take you to put your makeup on? And then they just go, oh, fine, whatever. Or they get angry and they're like, well, makeup's different. I like to do my eyes, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, then that's fine. That's your preference. If you want to spend longer doing your eyes than doing your skincare, knock yourself out, babe. But the reason you're talking to me is because you're concerned about your skin. I'm telling you what you're going to have to possibly do to correct it. So don't argue with me.
I feel like we've come out of that era of the Kardashian aesthetic. We reached peak makeup with the Kardashians and the contouring and false eyelashes and hardcore makeup. Do you think this is not like a reaction to that?
Possibly. To be honest, I don't pay enough attention to it to be able to sort of fully say, because on the one hand, my daughter, who's nearly 19, she will still do a full face of makeup if she's going out. She loves doing her makeup. She spends hours doing it, but she'll also care for her skin because otherwise I will nag her to death. So I don't know if I think maybe a slightly older generation. If you think about it, the Kardashians have been around for what, 10 years plus?
Yeah.
Minimum, And so that generation that loved them when they came on has sort of grown up a bit now and is probably either working or has more children, might be at the same life stage as the Kardashians in terms of having kids and running businesses or working, but certainly won't be at the same financial stage where the Kardashians have a full makeup team, hair team, accountants, everything, housekeepers, nannies, drivers, everything you need in order to facilitate sitting in a makeup chair for 2 hours a day. I just don't have the time or the energy. And maybe it's just a bit of age. I don't know, but the youngsters are still, listen to me. All right, granny. The young people are still very much on the makeup bandwagon for sure. And as they should be, that, teenagers and early 20s, I had so much makeup on my face when I was in my early 20s. Now I look at it and I'm like, God, that must have taken you hours. What were you doing?
There's a lot more instant gratification in makeup than with skincare, isn't there? So like if you buy a lipstick and you put it on, you notice a difference. If you buy a serum that costs $200 and you put it on, you won't see any difference maybe for a week or a month, or you might never.
Yeah, the only things in skincare that you'll see instant gratification with are acids and oils. If you're someone who's only really dabbled in skincare and you do the bare minimum, you wash your face, you slap some sunscreen on. Obviously, I know my audience here in Australia. And then you wash your face at night and you think, well, that'll do. If you really want to see an instant change, you could use an acid and follow it with a facial oil and your skin will feel soft and velvety and will glow. So for me, the instant gratification is things like that. Eye creams with a little bit of instant gratification where they've got a bit of iridescent in them to sort of make your eyes pop, things like that. But yeah, in terms of makeup, for sure, the lipstick index was a real thing after 9/11, when women in America just went shopping and sales of lipsticks and colour were through the roof. But I think with the pandemic, the 2 biggest selling areas of personal care in the UK, number 1 was vibrators.
Yes.
And number 2 was skincare. So
hard agree on both of those counts.
People got to take care of business when they're locked down on their own for months on end.
Well, you've said skincare is self-care. Tell me about that.
Well, of course it is. When people would say, oh, skincare is not essential, it's not self-care, I'm like, right, okay, so do you shower every day? Do you wash your hair? Do you wear deodorant? Because I hope you do. When you see it as an extension of that, then people are like, oh, okay, fine, I get it. You wouldn't say, oh, showering isn't self-care. It's just taking care of your face in the same way you take care of your armpit. Frankly, I think we owe ourselves that the least.
Yes, our face deserves more care than our armpit or our fannies.
or our fannies, or the Holy Trinity, as I call them, Pit, Pit, Fanny. That's what I used to call the quick shower when your kids were little and you had to get out the door for school. You'd be like, okay, just give me the shower head, Pit, Pit, Fanny. I'm good. Oh, yes, let's go.
Let's talk about the intersection of beauty and feminism, because you and I are both, I don't know if we're called third wave feminists or second wave feminists. I can't remember which wave we are, but we've come up at a similar time. Naomi Wolf's Beauty Myth came out. Caitlin Moran is our age as well. In her most recent book, she talked about getting Botox. Of course, Naomi Wolf described the beauty industry as just being a tool of the patriarchy to keep women broke and oppressed and insecure.
Yeah, well, she's got issues.
She does have issues. And I used to be a magazine editor, so I know that there was some truth to that. But people like you and me and Trini and all the women I know, we're not doing it to necessarily look younger or different.
Oh, I don't give a shit, and I don't do it for anyone else except for me. I don't do it for my husband. If my husband had his way, I would have brown hair that's massive, well, probably all grey by now, let's face it. Who knows what colour my real hair is? I'd be completely grey. I wouldn't have had my eyelids done. I mean, I had them done for medical reasons because I literally couldn't see. He doesn't care. My husband doesn't care a jot. And frankly, if I had the kind of husband that was like, well, you're looking a bit shabby, you need to lose weight or get your hair done or whatever, I'd be like, well, you know where the door is, love. Lock yourself out, knock yourself out, and then lock yourself out, I don't do it we've always groomed. Animals groom. That's what we do. Just look at the monkeys. I groomed my babies. I would pick at their bodies and pull bogies out of their nose and God knows what other things. So we've always groomed. I don't go for the whole, especially now in an era where most big businesses in beauty we've ever had run by independent women than we've ever seen. So I don't think it's fair to blame the patriarchy for the beauty industry. We have to have some kind of semblance of actually this is what we want to do. I also don't take on if you talk about beauty, you can't be taken seriously. I hate that shit. I mean, I'm the first to push back at a man who says that, because all you have to do is check their profile, and the minute they're talking about horse racing or football, I go, oh, well, I can't take you seriously. You talk about football. Piss off. Like, there's no time for it,
Is it one of those things that because women are into it, it's dismissed as being frivolous? Like
110,000%. And it's also, one of my big beefs is also, we are apparently solely to blame for the plastic industry and recycling, because beauty products use so much plastic, yada, yada, yada. Right, well, everything uses so much plastic. The food industry, every gaming DVD that you will buy, lads, comes in a plastic cover. Why don't you go shout about that for a while? And also, men use all the products. They use the shower gels, they use the body cream, they use a shaving cream, they use deodorant, all in plastic. So laying that at our door is like, well, the women need to sort out the plastic issue as well. And I just think, oh, whatever. Don't get me wrong, I am not dismissing the plastic issue. I'm just saying I'm not going to take full responsibility for it. Thanks very much.
Can we talk about beauty marketing a little bit? It used to be that everything that was marketed to women in the beauty industry, they used models that were 15 or 16, even if it was a so-called anti-aging product or a product marketed to women over 35 or 45 or even 55, they'd use a 20-year-old model. Do you think that's improving?
Not really, not from the big ones. I think it is from people like Trini, people who have their own business, Trini, Huda, Fenty, people where they're a woman behind the brand. Yes. But I mean, if you think about, it was only a couple of years ago when Dior brought out their biggest launch of the year, their massive anti-aging serum for 30 to 40 years plus. And they used Cara Delevingne as the model, and she was 24 years old at the time. And they got called out on Twitter and they totally ignored it. And I just think now we're going to see the dinosaurs of the industry. And I used to say that with respect. Now I say it as your dinosaurs. And if you don't get a grip, you're going to lose your business. Because if you think about things like when I first started blogging, which is 11 years in April, I would say things like to Estee Lauder brands, it was always a nightmare trying to find their ingredients online for reviews. And I would say things like, when I got to know the PRs and stuff, you've really got to get your ingredients online. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, well, you can see it in the store and it's on the back of the pack. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I want to see it online. People who are watching me and reading me want to see it online. It looks like you're being shady. And I'm not suggesting they were. They just weren't taking online seriously. So I really genuinely think that big corporate, which used to be the brands that you always see the minute you walk into a traditional beauty hall, Chanel, Dior, Lancôme, Lauder, they all still have so much work to do online. They don't see it as their main voice to talk to their people. They might do now, but like they're years too late. And so for me, the whole behemoth of, marketing to younger people, and I think they're getting called out. I think when the Black Lives Matter movement really kicked off in the USA, it was really obvious who needs to step up and who maybe does better than others. But no, they're all still very much in that space of women want to look young. If you want to sell me a serum, don't show me a picture of someone my daughter's age.
That's airbrushed.
Yeah, don't show me a picture of someone who I could have given birth to, who frankly I have coats older than, with perfect tits that can stay up on their own without a bra and not a line on their face because you've also filtered it. To me, I just think, oh, what are you trying to hide? It's the same with the free from. Thank God the EU has now ruled on you can't just label all over your product. This is free from.
Let's talk about that, because if clean eating was, a trend that we saw, it's now about clean beauty and clean skincare. I get health anxiety, so I was quite vulnerable to that marketing about this ingredient and that ingredient. And I started to try these different products and think, should I use this and should I use that? And you've got a really refreshing take on it. Can you just speak to that?
Yeah, it's all a load of shit. There's your soundbite, guys. It's all a load of shit.
Finn!
Well, as my friend, the nutritionist Ian Marber says, the opposite of clean eating is dirty. So it plays on your emotions, which is exactly what you said. So it makes you feel guilty for doing something you have to do to stay alive.
And scared.
So we all know no one's stupid. We've got enough information out there. You know that it's healthier to eat a salad than a Big Mac. It's not rocket science, okay? And when it started to transfer into beauty, which it still is, thankfully, they hit the wall of Europe. So it came from California. Let's make no bones about it. It came from LA and California, where they think essential oil is going to cure something that a vaccine would actually be needed for. And the wall moved across the USA. New York started popping up with Cat Beauty and Credo and all of those. And then it hit Europe, and especially the Nordic countries, who have absolutely no time for it. The Nordic countries were like, literally, I don't understand.
What do you mean? Because it's quite anti-science, isn't it? Or can be.
It's complete nonsense. It's also, the irony for me is, how many plants do you think it is going to take to make one fresh, clean, green beauty product compared to something you could make in a lab? We're pummeling the earth. You cannot pummel the earth non-stop. They're doing the exact opposite. They're basically saying, we need to make this for your face so that you can take good care of yourself. And we're going to make sure we do this and this. What they don't talk about is the farming. It's really hard to sustainably farm a lot of the ingredients that the green industry, notice the...
Quote marks. Podcast is not a visual medium, but you are air quoting.
It's all marketing. It's all the same shit as clean eating. It's all the same thing. Everything is a chemical. There's nothing in the green industry that does a better job than a vitamin A, for example. And we can make that in a lab. So why would you pummel the earth? Bakuchiol is not a retinoid. Stop yourself. Stop the nonsense. You give me like a hernia. I mean, now I'm older. I'm able to go, oh, maybe I should get some anti-anxiety meds from the doctor. And then I think, no, I'll just rage for 5 minutes and then I'll be fine.
Yeah, I think that's very effective. Last week, I saw Bobbi Brown launched her new...
I can't.
Range.
Honestly, Mia, the rage is unbelievable. First of all, let's talk about the woman who brings out a supplement range called Beauty. So you need to take these supplements to be beautiful. And the one for your hair, which is basically 90-something% biotin. The other ingredient is pure sugar.
It's like gummy bears, like those hair gummy bears.
Now, it might help your hair, but it's still a skittle. And also, she did the nutritionist course. I don't know.
Oh, that nutritionist course is the bane of my existence. It costs $5,000. You do it online and people then think that they are Anthony Fauci.
They're a dietitian. They can go to hospital and advise people who have Crohn's. Like, no, behave yourself. And so this new thing where she's talking about clean ingredients, and I think, oh, my God. I mean, Estee Lauder must be glad that she can't use her own name on the packaging because it would be detrimental.
So it's almost like a straw man saying we're free of all these things, or saying that there's lead in lipstick. Speak to that for a second. I've heard you disprove that.
So, funny story. I was in LA, and when I get into a hotel room, I always turn the TV on. First thing I do is turn the TV on because I'm so used to noise. Like, my worst nightmare would be when some people say, like if an author says, oh, I have to book myself to a hotel and have peace and quiet for a week. No, I need noise around me. I need the kids. I need the telly. I need the kettle. And I just put headphones in, but I'm happy that they're all there. And so I go into the hotel room and I turn the TV on, and it's an episode of the Kardashians, as it always is. They're on 24/7 in the USA. So I have it as wallpaper. And it just happened to be the episode where Kourtney Kardashian was saying she had just got involved with the EWG.
What is that? What's EWG?
Environmental Working Group.
What's that? I've never heard of that.
That's just a good thing. They are basically the people who've jumped all over the clean, toxic chemical bandwagon. It's the kind of beauty version of WebMD, where you Google something you think you're going to die. So everything gives you cancer, everything disrupts your hormones, that kind of thing. And so she just started working with them, and they were petitioning the government because there's this big fallacy in America that, you know, anyone can release any product and there are no restrictions, there's no guidelines on beauty, and it's all bullshit. I mean, I put it in the book, and people in America were messaging me going, I had no idea that that was all nonsense. It's one of those things where you repeat it often enough and it just becomes fact, and it's not. And she said, I mean, did you know that there is guaranteed, if you want to use a red lipstick, it has lead in it? And I almost tried to pull the TV off the wall.
True? Not true?
No! You know, and you're like, what the sweet Jesus, why are people letting people say this on air? So with pigment, there will be any kind of mineral content in tiny, tiny forms. You would have to literally eat maybe 2,000 lipsticks a day to have any trace of lead in your system. It's all scaremongering. It's all, and here's the best bit. Here's my favorite thing about the Kardashians, right? Two of my favorite things, and don't get me wrong, I love watching it. To me, it's entertainment. It really is. I just sit there and I'm like, I just laugh. They're my two big beefs. They're also worried about doing everything healthily and sustainability and all of that. Every single episode, they all eat salads out of a plastic bowl, number one. Every single episode, plastic fork, plastic salad bowl. Like, what? And they all, without fail, have crocodile Hermes Birkin bags. I'm like, yeah, way to go, guys. Really good for the environment, really good for the animal world. Nice work there. That's not hypocritical at all. You know, like, give me a break.
So it's just playing on our fears, right? And it's playing on our...
It's not marketing.
But it's very cynical and it's exploitative.
Yeah, it's completely exploitative. It's fear marketing. It's fear mongering, making pregnant women feel like if they touch a retinol, they'll lose their baby. It's all bullshit. It drives me nuts. Thank God I had my kids before social media.
Why?
Oh, everything. I mean, I see my friends with their babies and I see the way people talk to them online and I think, God, I would literally get done for GBH if you spoke to me like that.
What's GBH? Oh, grievous bodily.
Like, you're carrying the baby wrong. The car seat isn't done up properly. You shouldn't be feeding her that yet. How can you not breastfeed? Why don't you bottle? I mean, so, like, shut up.
Why are you breastfeeding for so long?
Yeah, whose business is it? It's not your tit. Leave them alone. I can't. It gives me and I'm sorry, I am very much of the generation where mum comes first. Not baby, certainly not dad. Mum comes first. Because if mum is not fit and well, no one else in the family will be. And yes, I'm talking a traditional 2.2 kids family, obviously. But this works across, I don't care if you have a female partner, if you're two women who are married, two men who are married, the main caregiver has to take care of themselves. Because if you're not getting sleep, if you're not getting any kind of rest, if you're constantly trying to fit around a baby schedule, with me, it's always been, no, the baby fits around my schedule. Thank you. I've got shit to do. Obviously, I'm not saying don't feed them. When they're newborns, of course, it's every 4 hours. And if you're breastfeeding, it's on demand, of course. But the pandering that comes about, and it's the same as the skincare industry, it's pandering to that small minority of people online who get shouty. You shouldn't be doing that. Oh, you can't put your baby in nursery too early. It'll really stunt their developmental growth. Oh, no, they're going to have massive attachment issues if you don't have them in bed with you. Like, just shut up. I do look at a lot of it online and I think, my God, stop talking. How embarrassing. And it's one of those things, I think, because I'm older, I still get myself caught up in it. Don't get me wrong. I still have moments where I think, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that way. Or, you know, and I'm not saying I never learn. I'm not saying I've learned everything and I'm the perfect human being by far. Absolutely. We all know that's not true. But it's really telling for me sometimes where I'll say something, I'll mention it to my husband, oh, so-and-so said this online. And he just looks at me like, why would someone do that? And it gives me that moment of reality where you just need someone who literally never goes online to go, how strange that people would behave that way. But, you know, it's all based on fear. The way we talk to mums, the way we talk to pregnant people, the way we talk to people who want to buy into clean and green, like you said, because they have anxiety and they're worried about their hormones, the way we talk to people who've had breast cancer, and I detest it. Give them facts, don't give them fear.
You know, they say that when it comes to addictions, for women, they'll often become addicted to food because that is a type of addiction that you can be very high functioning on. If you're addicted to alcohol, if you're addicted to drugs or gambling or whatever, that impacts on the people around you. But you can go on being a caregiver and carrying all your mental load while you are having that addiction. With skincare, do you think it's like as self-care, that is a type of self-care you can do without impacting anyone else really? Like you don't have to go and have a massage. You don't have to go and play golf. You don't have to go and join a Pilates class. You can just do it for 2 seconds before you go to bed. And that's your little treat for yourself.
Literally, I mean, I used to get people at the beginning of the blog when I would say, take 5 minutes, do a cleanse, throw on a toner. In those days, I would call it an acid toner, which is what it's become now. So, I see it everywhere and I'm like, that's actually my term, cheeky. Throw on a face mask, give yourself 5 minutes. And people are like, oh, I haven't got time. I've got 2 kids and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, excuse me, Doris, I've got 4 kids and I work full time. You make the time. I mean, I remember when the kids were young, I would be brushing my teeth while I was having a wee. You do what you have to do, whatever the time it takes, And I think it also is just a different priority. If you want to take 5, 10, 15 minutes to do your routine and you want to spend an hour doing your makeup, do it. There are some people who will want to spend 2 hours a day in a gym. They find the time. There are 24 hours in the day. If you want to do it, you'll find the time. It's like me. I don't go to the gym. I should. It's so boring. I'd rather just walk for 4 hours somewhere. That's not lifting heavy weights, I mean, I suppose I could just stand here for 2 hours lifting my boobs up and down, but it's not quite the same thing.
Yeah, it's true. It'd be good. You'd get good biceps that way.
Maybe. So I think it's if you are passionate about something, you find the time for it.
English women, American women and Australian women, I want to talk about the different beauty foibles that we have that you've noticed. You know these 3 groups of women pretty well. They're your 3 biggest markets. Can we start with Australian women? What do you notice about Aussie women and their beauty habits? Have you been to Australia?
No, and it's been on my list forever. I was supposed to come this year for the book. And then 2 things happened. One, my daughter-in-law got pregnant and I thought there's no way I'm being on the other side of the world in case anything goes wrong. And then the pandemic, which is kind of a bit more of a reason, really, let's face it. Australia is always on my wish list because I was a Michael Hutchence obsessive.
Were you?
Yeah. Like Simon Le Bon was my first teenage crush. Michael Hutchence I would call Michael Hutchence a sexual awakening for most women of my age.
Yes, 100%.
By far the best front showman I've ever seen, and I've seen everyone.
Did you ever meet him?
Well, no, I stood next to him at an INXS after show party and it was me here, Michael there and Helena next to him. And when you think this is not good for my self-esteem standing next to Helena Christensen, it's just not good.
What have you noticed about Aussie women and our beauty issues?
I feel really, really bad for Australians because you are massively overcharged for everything that we sell. The price almost triples in Australia for everything. So if you look at something that's like 30 quid here, it's like 80 Aussie dollars or 100 Aussie dollars. And when I've worked with brands, the only brand that took it into consideration and kept their pricing in Australia on an even keel with the USA and the UK was Illamasqua. Back in the day, when Illamasqua launched, they literally said to Australia, we are launching at the same time and the pricing is going to be fair.
It's hard because of the Aussie dollar, isn't it?
Yeah, the Aussie dollar doesn't help. But I think places like Mecca have really helped because their distributor model means that they can take loads of brands in and they take care of everything because it is a long way away. It is hard to take care of business. I had to be up at 7:30 to do this, which is fine, but I'm not dealing with Australia every day. If I was, I'd be a bit tired, and staying up late at night. But Aussie women, for me, take sun SPF the most serious for obvious reasons. Aussies have the best SPF in the world. I mean, that's just fact. Everyone knows it. You have much more stringent rules than Europe, and Europe has more stringent rules than America. So when people are like, oh, look at this amazing SPF, like Kylie's SPF, she can't sell it in Europe. And I'm like, I'm not even going to order it and review it because it's just not going to be up to speed.
It's so funny when you say Kylie because in Australia...
Oh, I mean the other one. God, I should know my audience. I don't mean Queen Kylie. I mean the young Kylie upstart, Kylie Jenner. I do not mean the Queen.
To my daughter, Kylie is Kylie Jenner. To me, Kylie is Kylie Minogue.
Well, when I did the Kylie review, my audience pitches to sort of slightly older. The amount of people who left a comment on YouTube going, fully expected this to be a Miss Minogue review. And I'm like, the minute Miss Minogue brings out a makeup line, babe, I'm going to review it. Don't get me wrong. Nothing but love for the Kyles. I
wish she would. She's just brought out a wine range. She's got a rosé, but I would like her to do, skincare?
Well, in a pandemic, you're going to make a lot of money from a wine range, let's face it.
I've heard you talk about American women. They've got issues with wipes. They like things too granular. Let's speak about wipes for a second.
I hate them. They've just made us a world of lazy people. We didn't have baby wipes when my kids were little. You used cotton wool and water.
On your face?
No, I'm talking about baby wipes for the kids. I'm literally talking about baby wipes because the whole thing, and I'm guilty of it because I hate face wipes and I say how bad they are for the environment, yada, yada, yada. But I buy biodegradable ones to wipe my granddaughter's bum because I'm not going to take it to the sink every time she does a massive shit. So I get it. They were made as a quick fix for babies. But now suddenly, if we can just apply them all over the face, they'll remove our makeup. But they don't. So yeah, Americans have a real wipes issue. When brands like The Body Shop said we're discontinuing all of our wipes, I was just like, oh, hallelujah. We don't need face wipes. Just wash your face. And that's why, the pull-out quote in the book that was one of the first things that became one of my quotes was wipes are for fannies, flights and festivals. And I did stick on the end in the original post, and emergencies. Like if you're in hospital with your sick child, of course, use a wipe, of course. But if everyone who used them as makeup removal wipes every day stopped and just used a micellar water on cotton or reusable cotton pads that you can buy on Amazon or just a cleanser and a face cloth, the world would be a much better place. But again, I do that without putting guilt. For me, I put the skin first. They're crap for your skin. So I put the skin first and then the ecological aspect second. Sorry, world.
The way I understood it was when you said using face wipes to cleanse your skin is like wiping your bum but never having a shower.
Yeah. And I said that, you'll love this. I said that at a Body Shop internal conference. There was about 1,500 Body Shop people. At the time, it was owned by L'Oreal. Imagine how many packets of wipes L'Oreal sell a day. And all the sort of white suits, and I mean white men in suits, were at the back of the hall. And I was on stage with a whole earpiece mic situation, big presentation. And I just said, look, let's face it, using a face wipe every day to take your makeup off, always in quotation marks, because it doesn't, is like only ever wiping your ass and never showering it. And you could see everyone in the room got it. Everyone who sold skincare, all of their consultants got it immediately. And I can see the people at the back like, oh, sweet Jesus. I don't care. I mean, but yeah, you're right. So Aussie women are brilliant at SPF. When I said that my kits were going to be available in Australia, the Aussies were like, oh my God, it's worth us paying the import fees because there's such an amazing discount and we don't get half the brands in them. And I was always going to make them available to Australia, always.
So your kits, for those who don't know, you do every season, 4 times a year, you do a kit of selected skincare products that you've selected at a big discount.
Massive discount, a discount that a retailer can't afford, basically. Because I have a great relationship with the brands. It's all the stuff I used to help brands and retailers do. We decided to do it on our own, purely ad hoc. Last winter, I was like, let's just throw together a kit and do it ourselves. Like I do kits for people. Like it'd be like the Aussie version would be a Caroline Hirons X Mecca box. Here's Caroline's choices of products, blah, blah, blah. And I'd done them for numerous retailers and they were always really successful. And I thought, these retailers keep asking me to do these boxes. I know all the contacts. I know all the brands. It's also the only time you will get brands all together that you would never find in the same retailer. And that's what I love. I love the fact that we're doing something that my own industry can't match. I love my industry, but I also like kicking its ass and trying to keep it like relevant. Even things like put your bloody ingredients on your website. Do you know how many people have allergies? So I love it. It's my life. I always say I don't have a job or work. I have my family and then I have my other life. And it's just what I live, breathe, eat, sleep. I mean, if I get up for a wee at 2 a.m., I check my Instagram comments and I'll respond until I fall back to sleep. People are like, you're a workaholic. I'm like, no, that's a negative comment. I love my work. And it doesn't have a negative benefit. I mean, the kids, as they've got older, have seen the benefit of mum working so hard. And I also think it's really, really important that kids, especially my daughter, see mum living her best life, working my arse off, providing for the family, as does my husband. The company is both of us together. And seeing, well, actually, you're on this ride with me until it's my turn to check out, babe, and then it's all about you. And I think that's something that we could all benefit from. I don't do guilt. I don't do any mum guilt. You want to go to work and have a kid, knock yourself out, stick the kid in nursery. You want to stay home and be a homekeeper, knock yourself out, your choice. I'm all for letting people make whatever choice they want to make. But yeah, I feel like when it comes to the beauty industry, I do feel bad for the Aussies because everything costs an arm and a leg. And when I see how much things cost in Aussie dollars, my heart breaks because I just think there's so much good skincare out there that's why when people ask me, and I won't mention brands, but when Aussies will say, do you think this serum that's 1,000 Aussie dollars is worth it? I'm like, no, You don't even have to tell me what it is. No. Whatever it is, no, it's not worth it. And so I think for a good reason, there is a lot of scope for better, more affordable skincare. So, for example, if it was me and I own Glossier, I wouldn't have gone to Europe second. I would have gone to the other side of the world and hit Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, I don't know why Glossier is not available here. A lot of people, like Trini was very sensible using Australia as a test market for the US.
Now, there's a reason Trini is up at the crack of dawn doing her Facebooks. It's not for England. It's for the Australians. And she said that to me in the early days. She was like, darling, if you want to get the Australian market, do a Facebook Live at 8 a.m., darling. They're all coming home from work. And I was like, well, it's genius. Absolute genius. And then she did a trip to Australia before she did Europe, before she did America. So I think the Aussies and the UK, in particular, certain London demographic, which I would loop myself in, because we're sort of near Earl's Court, which is literally Aussie Central. So if you go to the shops in December and you see people in flip-flops and shorts, we always go, Aussie. But it's always done with a term of endearment, you know. But I think we have a lot of the same sensibilities, a lot of the same skepticism, cynicism, but it's all for the greater good. You know, I have so many great Aussie members of my Freaks group.
Your Skin Freaks group on Facebook.
Yeah, which they name themselves, by the way. I don't want people to think I'm calling people who follow me freaks. They name themselves.
It's very, very hardcore in there, but in a good way. Like if you're into skincare, it's like we've got our You Beauty group. 100 people will come and answer. But speak to me of Botox. Do you have a view?
Oh, yeah. Do you want it? Do it. Knock yourself out. I actually prefer filler. I've dabbled in both in the past. And the only one at the moment that I really find benefits my face, for starters, and my face shape and my age is filler, because I'm 51 and I'm postmenopausal now. That ship has sailed. So my collagen is basically gone on holiday and isn't coming back anytime soon. So there comes a point where you can only do so much with a topical. Now, my daughter's 18. Does she need Botox? Absolutely not. Her mum? Oh, yeah. But I don't actually like Botox. I like the lines on my face. The main lines I have on my face are from doing two things. The brow, which is when I have these two horizontal lines here.
But you don't have the 11s.
I don't have any 11s, weirdly. I never have. I've never had 11s. I think I've just got such a massive forehead that nothing is squashed in. And I spend a lot of time doing this, which is really good for not having 11s. You know, if you think you've got 4 kids, you spend a lot of time doing that.
Raising your eyebrows.
Raising your eyebrows. And I think I've spent so long doing, like, my son's 29 now. It was his birthday last week. So I spent like 29 years, maybe not, I wasn't harsh when they were little, but you know, like when you're out in the shopping and you're like looking at them like, you wait till I get you home. I've done a brow lift myself 25 times a day for 29 years. I don't really worry about Botox, but filler, when you are older, literally does what it says on the tin. It's hyaluronic acid, so it's not, you know, people think it's like cement and it permanently fixes things. It's not the situation.
Where do you put it? Where do you have your filler?
Well, in the past, I've had it here at the back of the jaw, because then it basically helps to do that, because it pulls it back a bit. And then I've had a bit here to stop the downward dog face.
So just under the side of your mouth, yeah?
Yeah, like nasolabial folds, like round here, and then sort of high up in the temple to kind of let your face remember that you've got cheekbones somewhere hidden in there.
How do you know where to stop, Caroline? That's always my fear. If I start, when will I stop?
To be honest, I think if you're sensible, all I wanted to do was just look a bit better, a bit fresher. I don't want to change my appearance. I don't want to change my basic like face. I don't want to look completely different. And also a good doctor would be like, okay, so we'll start with little and often. Come and see me in a month when it's settled and we'll see how it looks. And then maybe we can do a bit more, you know. But yeah, I go like once a year. I go twice a year. That's a lie. I go for Profilo because I love Profilo twice a year, which is basically tiny, tiny injections of hyaluronic acid that help your body sort of kick in its own hyaluronic acid. And it does give you, for me, it had a good effect. It gives you like a juicy, plump skin. But the ignorance around it for me is astounding. When people say, well, of course you've got good skin. You've got a face full of Botox and filler. I'm like, well, first of all, I don't. Thank you. Second of all, even if I had a face full of Botox and filler, it does absolutely nothing to the topical surface of your skin. You could have a face full of Botox and filler and still have a face full of acne or pigmentation. And I'm not trying to put shame on people with acne or pigmentation, by the way, just to be clear.
Just one doesn't cancel out the other.
It doesn't cancel out the other. You know, you have to work on the topical aspects of your skin. And when the skin's internal structure starts to slow down and drop, as everything does on your body when you're older, you can get a few injections of hyaluronic acid that hold things back in place for a while. I mean, that's how I look at it. Will I have it when I'm 70, 75, 80? I don't know. Who knows? I've always said never say never, but I genuinely feel like I would never have a facelift. I'm not that bothered. For me, that's like very LA Hollywood superstar. You know, people are like, Jane Fonda looks amazing. I'm like, yeah, she's probably had 3 facelifts by now. No shame to Jane. She rocks it. But I would also be like really scared of going under the needle just for something that's kind of like, I don't know, to make myself look better. Like broken leg, yeah. A facelift, I don't know if I can be asked. I just don't know if I can be asked. I'll just do a really tight ponytail and hope it lifts everything up.
Well, that's what they used to do in the olden days. Get the bulldog clip out, put it at the back of your neck.
Like in Big Fat Greek Wedding where they pull their necks back when they're having their picture taken. So I'm not an advocate of it for like really young people. If my daughter wanted Botox, I'd slap her. Like, absolutely not. There's nothing wrong with your face. But again, of course, if you're pro-choice for women, you have to be pro-choice whatever they want to do. And I know, by the way, I have men followers and all. So I just speak to women because it's what I know better. And so there's no shame for me. If you want to do it, do it. But I would say do it with a medical professional. Don't do it at a Botox party. Those things should be banned. You know, no professional would ever inject Botox where there is champagne being served. It's just not what a doctor would do. And you need to make sure that the person who is doing your treatment can help you if something goes wrong. Because if something goes wrong and you need to inject something into the filler to break it down quickly because you've hit a vein or whatever, you're not going to get that with someone who did a 2-day course on how to do plumper lips. You're just not going to get it. So always go to a trained medical professional.
All right, I'm going to finish up with some skincare questions.
Oh, okay.
See if you can answer these.
Okay.
Where should I spend the most money in my routine?
Serums.
Good, because I've bought a shit ton of them this year.
Serums. If I was on a much more limited budget, and this is what I used to do, because obviously I haven't paid properly for skincare for 20 years. Let's face it, I've been in the industry 23 years. The minute you work in the industry, you start getting shit for free. It's not because I'm a blogger. The minute you work in the industry, when I worked for Aveda, I had a cupboard full of Aveda. Hair, body, everything was Aveda, head to toe. Me, my kids, my mum, everyone. When I worked at Space NK, oh my God, the testers you would get at Space NK back in the day. Like, you never had to buy anything.
So you can get a little bit, beauty editors the same, working in media the same. You can get a little bit jaded in terms of...
I see all the gifts you lot get. But if I needed to, I could easily buy a drugstore cleanser and moisturizer. But I would always, at my age, pay more money for a serum, whether that's a vitamin C, a vitamin A, a peptide serum. So put your money in the middle.
Retinols, do I need them?
How old are you?
49.
Oh, yeah. Are you not? You must be using a retinol by now, surely.
Well, yes, I am now. I started this year.
Oh, you left it late, babe. Crack on.
I know. I didn't know about you. What have I been doing? I've been buying eyeshadow palettes, wasting my bloody time and my money and not using them.
That's also my big complaint, which when people say to me, I need a really brilliant moisturizer. I know when someone's new to skincare because they ask for one thing, a brilliant moisturizer, because they think that's all it takes. And I'll say, what else have you got in your routine? And they go, oh, well, I've got, and it'll be like a Neutrogena cleanser or something, which is absolutely fine. But I'll say, okay, how old are you? And then we go through and then they'll go, oh no, I'm not paying 50 quid for a serum. But then I look on their Instagram and they've got £80 Pat McGrath foundations and palettes. And I'm just like, well, you choose what you want to spend your money on. I'm telling you, you'll get more long-term benefit from using this vitamin A. But if you want to spend 60 quid on a lipstick, knock yourself out.
I never realised cleansers were something. I always thought that you could just use a pretty shitty cleanser, but you've taught me that cleansers are important.
Cleansers are my favourite part of my routine.
Why?
Because, Picasso didn't paint on concrete. You need a good canvas, right? I mean, I'm sure he would have done a lovely job on concrete. Maybe he did. Maybe I'm speaking. Van Gogh didn't paint on concrete. How's that? You need a good surface and I can spot a person who does not wash their face properly from 100 yards away, and especially on public transport. So when I used to get the tube a lot, which was pre-pandemic, obviously, I would spend my entire time. That's all I do. I'd have music in my ears and I just look at people's skin. I can't help it. And it's not judgment. For me, it's like practice. I'm like, oh, bit of glow there. Oh, no, dehydration. Everyone's dehydrated. That would be the number one tip to take away from this. Everyone is dehydrated.
What's the difference between dry skin and dehydrated skin?
Dry skin is technically a lack of oil, and dehydrated skin is a lack of water. Roughly, you can have a bit of both. Most skins present with a bit of both, but you can have a really, really oily skin. Most people with severe oily acne skin that I come across who aren't under a derm's care and are just trying to fix it themselves, bless them, have dehydration because they've stripped their skin so much that the skin's own barrier doesn't hold any moisture. And so most people are dehydrated. And I would guess in Australia, the figure's even higher because of your weather. So you need moisture. You need like a mist that you can double up with a moisturizer on top. You need like a nice bit of oil at night to seal the deal. You don't have to spend a fortune though.
Eye creams, serums.
I love an eye cream. But, like I said, I'm 51, but I've always used an eye cream. So when people say, well, I don't know why you're using an eye cream, you've got no lines. And I'm like, because I've used an eye cream. You wait for the penny to drop. It's like, it's because I've always used an eye cream, Doris. And then they're like, oh, I just thought it was genetic. I'm like, well, of course, everything is genetic at the end of the day. But I love an eye cream. But, my eyes have always been like, I have a big head and I have big eyes. I was always going to take care of this area. It's a big landing space. I get when people, if you're on a budget, of course you can take your serum up to your eye. Of course you can. But if you're not on a budget and if you're putting a budget on yourself because you want to spend all your money on makeup, please don't ask me why you've got crinkly eyes. Because you probably know the answer.
My last question is about something different. You were recently diagnosed with ADD, weren't you, as an adult?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, my daughter, who we always just thought had a lot of energy, she had a great teacher in secondary school who she still works with because Ava's training to be a PT and her favourite teacher is a netball teacher. And she said, I think you need to get tested for ADHD to Ava. And Ava told us, and I was like, because I didn't understand it, I was like, there's nothing wrong with my child. How dare she? How dare she think that my daughter has ADHD? Because you don't really know much about it, And so I said, fine, we'll do it. Because eventually they said, look, if she's got ADHD, she gets an extra hour to take her exam. So I said, fine, obviously it's for Ava. We'll do what we have to do. So we did the test. We filled out a form. The teacher fills out a form and Ava fills out a form. That's how it's done for the kids here. I don't know what it is worldwide. And as we were filling out the paperwork, I'm going to my husband, this is me, isn't it? Like almost every single thing verbatim. And I was like,
what were the symptoms for you?
Oh, there's loads. I mean, when they do the sort of short test when you're an adult, it's like 2 sets of scenarios with 9 questions each. And I got 18 out of 18. It goes from simple things like if you're behind someone in a queue and then they're not in any rush and they're taking their time and they're like, oh, I can't find my change. And they're really slow. Like even thinking about it gets me angsty because you want to be like, oh, hurry up, and I'm much better now. Now I'm like, breathe, it's fine. Down to things like much more, like I realize now how badly it affected me in school. Things like you can't concentrate. You're always accused of chatting because you're the most easily distracted person in the class. All that kind of thing. I've spoken to 2 sort of professors and I see now one of the ADHD specialists in the UK. Luckily, he's in London. A lot of them are. I know I'm lucky. And he said that I was a classic example of someone who had grown up with it but learned massive coping skills. So the only reason I got the official diagnosis was because I had the book to write. And when you've got to sit and write 60,000 words on demand rather than on a blog where you can do it whenever you want, it's really hard to sit and focus. That's when I was like, oh, I can't even focus on a sausage. God. Because the other extreme is we get hyper-focus. And I think my hyper-focus has been skincare. Every time I do a live on Instagram, the amount of people who kind of join it randomly because they might have started following me recently and they're like, how do you retain all this information? How do you know all this? And I don't think I don't by any stretch know it all, but I'm just like, it's just what I do.
So it's like obsessive focus or no focus at all.
Obsessive focus or, oh, look, a squirrel. And that used to be the joke about ADHD. You'd be like, oh, look, a squirrel. But actually, when you have ADHD, as someone said the other day, you go, oh, look, a squirrel. Oh, he's got a lovely red tail. Oh, I've got that red coat. That reminds me, I've got to go to Zara. And that's how your mind goes. I mean, you'll be able to tell now.
That sounds completely familiar to me.
Yeah, it's really, really, really common. And it's, you have it in varying strengths. Blurting, I don't do that anymore. But certainly the reason I could never work in corporate was because I would be that person in the meeting going, why would you do that? That's stupid when it's not the appropriate time to do it. The irony is now I get paid to go to corporate and go, why would you do that? That's really stupid. So I suppose if you can learn, a lot of people with ADHD are like, and by the way, it can be crippling for people. I'm just really lucky that for me, it never presented with any signs of depression or anxiety. As I got older and menopause hit, I got a bit of anxiety, but not to the way that I've seen people be affected by it. So I'm not making it easy. For me, I love my ADHD. It's made me what I am. It's made me the mother I was that was able to have 4 kids and multitask and do everything. It's made me the person who can write a book, even though I did it in chunks. And the publisher were like, okay, we need October. And I delivered it like end of Jan. I'm like, you're lucky it's the end of Jan. Get over it.
Did you get medicated once you were diagnosed?
Yeah.
And it's made a difference?
Oh, God, yeah. There's a drug called Elvance, which is like a much more sophisticated form. It's not like the old days. Like wanted Ava to have like the minimal, and Ava doesn't even take the meds now. Now that she's out of school, she doesn't take them. She said they dulled her personality, which is the last thing I want, you know? But for me, and the reason you can tell people who have it, who take the drug versus people, because there's always rumors like, you know, the people in certain programs like the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, that they take their kids Ritalin to stay thin, things like that. Well, we don't have Ritalin in the house. We have Elvance, which is obviously a version of it, but I haven't lost any weight. And I said to my guy, I was like, people talk about taking these drugs and then they lose weight. And he's like, yeah, but you've got ADHD. And I was like, shit.
So it's helped you concentrate.
Yeah, it literally helps me concentrate. And, you know, you can tell how, I mean, this is me with Elvance and I'm already all over the place. You can imagine what it was like. And it's funny to me now that I didn't spot it in my daughter in particular early on, because she's me, like my twin. So the way she can now just talk 10 to the dozen. And my mum does the same thing and my dad does the same thing. And I think looking at my parents now, it's also genetic. So if one of your parents has it, you've got a 50% chance of inheriting it. So 3 of my kids have got it and the other one thinks he's got it, but I don't think he has. I think he just feels left out. But it's interesting to me how there's no stigma for me at all because it's so common. You know, you do a bit of research on it. It's so common. And what was interesting was that when I did an Instagram live, I mentioned it and I was going to do something else about skincare. And I ended up doing an hour and a half about my ADHD and the diagnosis. The amount of people who contacted me and said, one, they recognized themselves and they were going to go and see someone about it because they're always being told off for not sitting still, always chatting or easily distracted. And also the amount of parents who said, oh my God, this is my kid. And a teacher might have mentioned that he might have ADHD. And I thought it was like a really negative thing. Thank you. Because I was in the live saying things like, they're not being naughty when they can't sit still to do their homework. They just cannot help but get up and bounce and do everything, you know. When it came to writing the book, I was like, maybe I'll take some tablets to help me sit down and write the book.
I'm so glad you did.
Well, thanks. I could still only do it in snippets. And like now, I don't take them every day. I take them if I've got a lot of stuff to do that I know I have to focus on. But like, I don't take them at the weekend. It's not like a permanent situation.
So it's not like I have anxiety medication and I just take that all the time because it's just a baseline thing.
Yeah, no, I take it when I need it. And I just think, well, if it's helped anyone, then that's great, you know, but I don't see it as, you know, now they say neurologically diverse. Much better than the stuff I was called when I was growing up. Are you funny in the head, Hiron? Sit still. And I'd be like, I am sitting still. Like, you know, why are they telling me to sit still? My bum's on the chair. What are they talking about? I don't understand. It's interesting how you can think you know everything about your kids and then it takes an external teacher to go, you not notice that your daughter's like a walking advert for ADHD?
And then to teach you about yourself.
Yeah. And also I think that's probably why I was offended and Jim wasn't. Jim was like, right, we'll get her tested. And I was like, she doesn't have ADHD. How dare they? And actually that teacher changed my life because, you know, we've got Ava taken care of and then Daniel. And then I was like, yeah, it's actually comes from me. And now I can see it. I can see it in my dad. I get it from my dad 100%. What I love about ADHD, which is going to sound really bad, and I know that I'm now in the valuable position of being older and I can do it, is I read something really, there's some great books on it. If anyone's interested, I can, you know, send you some links, but there are some great books for parents, but also if you're like a later onset. And one of them said, a classic sign is that if something is boring you, you have no poker face, like you're gone. And that's me to a T and all of my kids. So I've had, you'll get it now, right? And everyone listening will be like, oh God, I do that too. Because it's the main one. And this is why all of my kids in school and me, if a teacher said they don't listen in lessons, I would go, right, they say you don't listen. All of my kids without fail would go, it's because the lesson's really boring. They'd be like, you got to keep me interested. And they would say it to their teachers, sir, your lessons are shit. Like they're really boring. And we get called into school and I'd be like, look. And then I started taking it as, well, actually, if you're a good teacher, you'll see that as a challenge and keep my kids stimulated. And I think that's why my Instagram lives have been really popular, bringing us back to full circle, as Oprah would say. The Instagram lives are popular because I can answer 15 questions in 20 seconds. I'm just like, ping, 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 bring it.
So that's the superpower of it.
Yeah, literally. So I've chosen to, you know, has it got me into trouble in the past? Of course it has. Have I said things I shouldn't in meetings? Of course. But now, like I say, now because I have a sort of certain skill set and a certain area of expertise, now I am paid to be blunt. Doesn't really work when you're in school though and trying to do your exams and you know the teacher says sit still and you're like, I am. What's wrong with you? I am sitting still and you're bouncing. But yeah, if you're someone who has no poker face and you're easily bored and you're out there.
I say that in meetings all the time. Sometimes I just have to get up and walk out of meetings because I'm bored.
That's what it is. And it's like, if you sit in a meeting and go, Jesus Christ, this could have been an email.
Yes.
Might want to look into it.
Might want to look into it. I'll go to my doctor.
Because a lot of people can sit still for like 2 hours. Yeah, they daydream and they sit there and I'm like, oh my God, I've got to get on my life. Why are you talking to me? I have no interest in what you're saying. And that's why I don't do for work, I have no, I don't do a lot of PR events. I hate PR events where they talk at you. I'm like, oh my God, why? Just send me the email. Send me the press release.
Yeah. Can't do lunches. I can't do any of that. No sitting. And look at you. You've been sitting talking to me for an hour and 15 minutes.
I mean, it's gone quickly. So thank you for not boring the shit out of me. Well done.
Go me. Yay me. Go you. Thank you for being my obsession. You've got me through this year. I really feel like you have.
Well, thank you for watching.
And my skin is so much better because of you. I've done so many things differently now. And yes, I'm more broke, but more cared for in myself.
Well, that's the best thing. We can always get more money, but you only get one face.
Sometimes on this show, which has been going for 5 years now, I get to meet people I'm obsessed with. That's the fun thing. So I'll become obsessed with someone and then I'll go, I know, I'll do a no filter with them so that I can meet them. And Caroline was one of those people. And I always get nervous when I do those interviews because occasionally they have gone horrifically wrong. Because sometimes when you care too much, you can be a really crap interviewer. I always joke with Lee Sales that my first question sometimes is, I love you. And it's not even a question. And that's a very different approach to the one she takes with her interviews. But yeah, Caroline has made me do so many things differently with my skincare this year. Do you want to hear what they are? Glad you asked. Okay, one of them is that I don't cleanse my face in the shower water anymore. I use a flannel to wipe off my cleanser, and instead of I still cleanse in the shower, but instead of putting my face under the water to rinse, I have a flannel and I put it under the hot tap and then I use the flannel on my face. She says that's much...
Sorry, Mia. Producer Lies here. What's a flannel?
A flannel is like a face washer. Sorry, Caroline calls it a flannel, so I call it a flannel. Like a
face towel.
Like smaller than a hand towel. It's like a little square shape and it's like a flannel.
Could you use any towel?
You could use a muslin. A lot of people like muslins.
What are they?
A muslin is like,
like that sheepy material?
Like you wrap babies in.
Yep,
it's like really, and some cleansers come with their own muslins, right?
It's like the Eve Lom one.
Yes, like the Eve Lom one, and I think Go To does an oil cleanser that comes with a muslin as well. And so I now, instead of using, just because I don't like splashing water on my face, don't like it, and Caroline says you should always use a warm flannel. She also says you should put your eye cream on before your serum because otherwise your serum can get too close to your eyes and that can cause you to break out. And she also says that the most money you should spend in your skincare should be in your serum. So the bulk of your skincare budget should go in your serum. She also says don't credit card your skincare. Don't go into debt for your skincare. She says that's very, very important. What else do I do differently? Because I know, I double cleanse. So at night, I double cleanse. I used to use wipes sometimes.
Yeah. So wait, when you say double cleanse, you mean you oil cleanse and then you cleanse again, or you oil cleanse and then you cleanse twice?
Welcome to No Filter with Mia Friedman talking about her beauty routine. So in the morning you just need to cleanse once because you haven't got sunscreen or makeup on. But if you've got sunscreen or makeup on, which you should at least have sunscreen on in the day, presuming you've left your house, you need to cleanse the first time with an oil-based cleanser or a balm to dissolve all the makeup and the sunscreen. And the second time, the cleansing should be to actually cleanse your skin. I always thought cleansers were just a nothing step, but she says that if you just use wipes on your face, it's like, I think she said it in the podcast.
She did. I think
Okay,
we're
we'll
repeating
cut
what
that
she
out.
said. No,
Okay.
but in terms of your cleanser, do you use like a foamy one or a beady one?
Don't use foam. So foaming cleansers are very drying. So I use a creamy cleanser. Depends on your skin type. I use a creamy cleanser. I also have now a wardrobe of cleansers and a wardrobe of skincare. I used to think that, not that you have to buy 100 products, but I now see that it's a little bit like your clothes. Like it might be raining or it might be cold or you might feel a certain way. And so you adapt your clothes depending on other things and you adapt your skincare routine depending on what your skin needs on that particular day. I bought her book. I was waving it around a lot during that interview. It's really great. I've never read a skincare book before because that seems really boring, but she's just so funny. I love looking at her face. She's so great on Instagram. A hard recommend. Caroline's book, it's called Skincare, The Ultimate No-Nonsense Guide. It's available now. We'll put a link in the show notes if you'd like to buy it. This episode was produced by Leah Porges. The voice you just heard is the executive producer of No Filter and our head of podcasts here at Mamma Mia, Eliza Ratliff. I'm Mia Friedman, and I'll see you at Mecca, Sephora, Adore Beauty, Chemist Warehouse, You Beauty. If you love this podcast, thanks for the reminder, Liz. You Beauty, oh my God, the You Beauty Facebook group and the You Beauty podcast. What's wrong with you if you're not already listening to those and in those? For beauty obsessives like me, and clearly you if you're still listening, because Lord knows nobody else will be.
Mamma Mia acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this podcast on, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures.